hard to work.
Steve Lindorf heads Jacksonville Beach City Planning and Development. He started crossing JTB 27 years ago, not long after it opened.
Once you passed 95 and went through some of the early office buildings at South Point, after that, there was nothing. So it was kind of a pleasant but rather lonely drive into work on back in those days. Oh, I think it was characterized even then as a road to nowhere, and it seemed like it to some extent. Even until you got to A1A, you didn't know that there was civilization in that part of Duval County.
Except for UNF, open for 7 years before JTB came along.
It took some vision. It had more vision than I would have had at that time to realize that eventually this corridor is going to grow.
UNF President and former Jacksonville Mayor John Delaney.
Florida's a growth state, Jacksonville's a growth city, and the population was going to top 1 million in terms of the metropolitan area. So you had to have this road. It's one of the things that we promote is that we're just, a few seconds off a major interstate. You're a few minutes from the beach, you're a few minutes from the downtown. It's a major advantage to the university.
UNF has more than 17,000 students.
UNF is essentially the population center of Northeast Florida.
They look to increase that number to 25,000 and have plenty of land on which to do it. But what if JTA had never built Butler Boulevard?
Well, it would have been impossible to grow as quickly and as substantially as UNF has, absent the JTB corridor.
That corridor has become, in a sense, the new heart of Jacksonville.
Emily Liska heads the Jacksonville Historical Society.
The construction and the development along both sides of that corridor are just amazing. All the major names in Jacksonville development have been associated with development along those corridors.
Families with names like Hodges, Davis, Skinner, and Gate Petroleum's Herb Payton donated the land for corridors at JTB interchanges.
And they've brought us nationally known corporations. They've brought to us much of what is today's lifestyle in Jacksonville.
The development, growth, and rising land values that followed JTB changed the economic landscape.
You've got the town center, which people tend to call the new downtown.
Well, that's nice. It really is nice.
St. John's Town Center opened just a few years ago and is already an economic giant, a destination that draws more than 10 million people a year from across Northeast Florida. The Simon Property Group owns it, and Sal Saldana is general manager.
When you have a center that's 100% leased and it's doing as well as it is, and we have most of the exclusive stores in Northeast Florida, there's no doubt that this center is successful because of where it is and the city that embraced it. It makes it one of the better properties of the nation.
No question about JTB's impact on the town center.
No doubt that highway truly has made an incredible impact on our shopping center.
At our end here in Jacks Beach, we have lots of commercial, lots of retail, lots of entertainment, restaurants. Those wouldn't exist without the residential development in Ponte Vedra and Jacks Beach. Both of those places would be pretty sleepy if it wasn't for Butler Boulevard. Butler Boulevard and Jacks Beach are hand in glove, I think, in terms of what we were and what we've become. The Mayo Clinic, where would the Mayo Clinic be if Butler Boulevard hadn't been there?
The residential developments on the western end of J. Turner Butler all wouldn't have existed or been possible without J. Turner Butler, or would have been far more expensive.
Certainly without Butler Boulevard, I think it's unimaginable for most of us to figure out where the growth that it's brought would be. Perhaps another place, but without Butler Boulevard and no substitute, we would not have the economic engine that we have today that road has brought.
On J. Turner Butler Boulevard, Terry Casey for Making Moves.
So what are the bottom line numbers when it comes to JTB's economic impact? Well, it may be impossible to find out definitively. Former Mayor John Delaney says just the taxes generated by the town center alone are just unbelievable. And Jacksonville Beach City Planning Director Steve Lindorf says retail follows rooftops. JTB paved the way for residential growth, followed by commercial development, which led to jobs and then provided access to those jobs. Well, we are back with Michael Blaylock. So what do you see as the lasting legacy for JTB?
You know, that's been our history, Joyce, when you think about it. Since 1955, the agency's been planning these kinds of visionary projects. And so as you've heard, as you stated previously, I mean, we have created a major economic corridor along that Butler Boulevard corridor in terms of economic development. Notwithstanding, you've created a additional evacuation route for those persons living out at the beach communities. So it's what we should be doing. So transportation drives and fuels your economy.
Mm-hmm. And you know, think about it. JTB was widened for the Super Bowl. But what's next? What's in the future?
Well, our biggest challenge now is the interchange, completing the interchange at I-95 and as well as US 1 at Butler. And so that's what we're trying to pursue now, to accelerate that project, to complete that. And I think you'll get the full use and value of that corridor once we get that completed.
There's always something in the works.
There's always something in it. We're always planning ahead, Joyce. Never asleep.
When Making Moves returns, it's graduation time at JTA. We'll meet the latest group of JTA bus operators to hit the road.
There are many ways you can get from point A to point B. We'd like you to consider ours. You're watching JTA Making Moves, honored by the Florida Public Transportation Association with its 2010 Award of Excellence.
Well, welcome back to Making Moves. If you work at JTA, one of the questions you are bound to be asked is, are you hiring drivers? Well, JTA does employ some 300 drivers for its buses and trolleys, and now you can add nearly 24 more names to that list. JTA's extensive driver training program graduated some 22 new drivers in July. In addition to having a CDL license, each prospective driver must successfully complete a 6-week training course, which includes vehicle operation, behind-the-wheel training, safety, customer relations, and a lot more. And if you are handling one of those 40-foot buses in busy traffic, it's not an easy job, but you know, Michael, it's certainly a critical job.
It's an awesome responsibility, Joyce. You're talking about driving and navigating the streets of Jacksonville is not an easy task. So we have a number of operators that are highly professional and receive numerous of letters about the professionalism of our operators. So we take part in everybody's life, either through our roadway network or through our transit system.
And it's always amazing to me when they get ready to make that hairpin turn, and they can do it.
Yeah, they're well trained, and then they get training continuously. And but it's just people don't realize how difficult that job can be.
Those buses are
not
big.
only just navigating the traffic, but you know, you have to deal with your customers. You have to be alert. So it's an awesome task, not to be taken lightly.
Now, you had the pleasure of speaking to the graduating class. What did you tell them?
Well, first of all, be safe and pay attention. But yeah, it seems like we got a pretty good crew in this past class, and very alert. So I think that they're added dimension to our current class of operators.
And of course, we just want to congratulate all of the new drivers and welcome you to JTA. And of course, before we go today, Michael, you have some final thoughts.
Just briefly, I just want to go back and just kind of reiterate the services that we are providing to the students regarding the Magnet School program. I mean, the good news is that all of those schools are being serviced by the JTA. And so there may be some trepidations about utilizing the service. This is a first-time experience for many of the students, but the good news is that we have students that are already riding the system today and have been riding for a number of years. So our operators are highly trained and alert men and women. So I want to encourage the families to take advantage of this do the buddy system, ride along with them, offer some family members who may be retired to take part in riding along with their children to become more familiar with utilizing the system. But it's a public system, and it's open and it's available, and is not that expensive. So I think that as we look to the future, Joyce, we really have to start thinking about, despite of all the problems with our economy and the reductions in the provision of transportation, to the good news is that we do have service that's being provided to all of the schools. And I just want to encourage the families to take part and really investigate the use of public transportation to provide this and fulfill this need. So, I mean, it's just that the service is there, operators are professional, but we have created the Spectral website and phone number to get as much information as possible. So if you're feeling a little leery about it, just check it out and you'll see.
Okay, thanks so much. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. Thanks for joining us today. If you missed any part of the show or you just want to watch it again, complete episodes of Making Moves are always available online at jtafla.com. And of course, make sure to stay in touch with us on Facebook. For Michael Blaylock and the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you the next time we're Making Moves. Coming up next on Making Moves, we'll tell you how JTA is driving to the rescue for hundreds of local middle and high school students left without a ride to class. The NFL is back, but will you have a ride to the game?
JTB, is it a big deal? You bet it is. I'm Terry Casey. Coming up, you'll find out why.
I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Stay tuned for those stories and much more next on Making Moves.
We live in a global community where information can be delivered instantly. But having access to information and getting accurate information don't necessarily go hand in hand. That's where we come in. We are Making Moves, the First Coast's premier source for transportation news. At Making Moves, we strive to deliver timely, reliable, and pertinent information about the transportation stories that affect our community. From transit to roads, we've got it covered. Making Moves, now on Facebook.
Welcome to JTA Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Michael Blaylock is here. He'll be joining me in just a moment. But first, our top story. About 20,000 students in Duval County go to magnet schools. Well, now more than a quarter of those may be without transportation to class each day. Budget cuts have forced the Duval County School Board to cut transportation to 7 magnet schools in the district. Some 5,000 students are being affected by these cuts. That's left parents scrambling to find creative ways to get their kids to school. So longtime partner in education, JTA, is stepping in to help.
We are calling to inform you that there is no bus transportation to or from La Villa next year.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. And La Villa School of the Arts PTSA parents like Sarah Lee are going the extra mile when it comes to figuring out this transportation nightmare. She started a website called Carpool to School to help La Villa parents.
I knew that parents like me were like panicking when we heard that this may happen, that the transportation may be gone. I really got nervous that we may not be able to find anything. So I thought, well, if I'm feeling this way, there's got to be hundreds of other parents that are feeling this way.
Hi, this is Allie Gondek from the PTSA at La Villa School of the Arts.
Sarah, her 8th grade daughter, Allie Godneck, and PTSA volunteer Charlotte Austin called every 6th grade parent to give them the transportation options, which Sarah has posted on the website. Organizing the carpools is a major step, but it is only one part of the solution for some 5,000 students scattered throughout 7 magnet schools.
I felt discouraged. I've been feeling discouraged. I don't want my child to miss out on the magnet experience.
Community meetings like this have been held across the city so that parents can get a first-hand look at all of the transportation options for the upcoming school year. Now, JTA officials tell us that they believe the difference between them and the private contractors is price and accessibility. The private companies are asking parents to pre-register and pay up to $1,100 for the school year. The price for an unlimited youth pass on JTA is only $30 a month.
$300, you can't beat the $300 compared to the $1,025. I can deal with $300 a school year.
And Clinton Forbes, the mass transit director, says that's just the beginning.
You know, we're not going to wait until the parents say, oh, how do I do this? We're reaching out to them. We're anticipating folks are going to ride JTA. So they'll have a professional customer service rep giving them answers in GPS directions directly from their home to the school, and how they'll use the system to do that.
And this is a viable option for your kids to get to school. We're launching a website specifically for the magnet schools.
Another plus for the affected families is JTA currently runs routes near all 7 affected magnet schools.
I'm feeling more hopeful. JTA really impressed me.
In fact, some parents are already being proactive and really going the extra mile when it comes to exploring their options.
I was pleasantly surprised. The bus is clean, the staff is friendly. I think we might try it out.
Once they heard about the transportation dilemma, Dave and Marion Baldwin began taking their son David on dry runs on JTA to check it out for themselves.
Yes, it does work very well. We catch the bus here. I get off on my way to through San Marco. My wife gets off on the other side of the river. My son gets off at school.
And it happens to work out really well where we live because the B7 bus runs right down San Jose to where David goes to school and where I go to work. And so it really helps that our driver buddy is extremely reliable, always on time.
I would definitely recommend it.
Time now to bring in JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock. Now, Michael, a lot of things are going to be happening on the first day of school, which is August the 22nd. This family has done the dry runs, but there are going to be a whole lot of families who haven't had that opportunity to go out and ride JTA and find out what it's going to be like. What suggestions do you have for them?
Well, it's not too late. Joyce, I mean, there's still time if parents and guardians of the kids want to do a dry run on the system. I would certainly encourage them to do that. They'll feel, make them feel a lot better knowing and getting the children familiar with the system. That's one. And the other is a number of the people that we've talked to, they're creating these buddy systems. And the children will be riding along with other friends that are attending the same schools. We've got grandparents that are going to be escorting their kids to school on the buses. And so I think there's some opportunities, maybe some family members who may be retired can opt to do that.
And you know, we actually have some added benefits to riding JTA. It's that unlimited pass for the students. Once you buy it for $30 a month, you can go anywhere.
Well, you know, the kids are having a great time this summer because, you know, we offer that pass during the summer months. And so in addition to using that pass to go to school, Joyce, you know, they can go to the movies, they can go to the library, they can go all over the city. But I think it's a great added value in having that bus pass.
And for more information on the Magnet School Transportation Program, parents can just call our special hotline at 632-3810 or email us at magnet@jtafla.com or visit the JTA website at jtafla.com and click on the Magnet School Transportation link. Well, in other news, after months of uncertainty, the JTA has learned that it will once again be the provider for game day transportation for the upcoming football season. Just days before the NFL lockout was settled, the Federal Transit Administration gave JTA the green light to operate its popular stadium shuttle for all Jacksonville Jaguar home games, as well as the annual Florida-Georgia game. Over the past 3 years, new federal regulations have forced Transit Authority-run shuttles in other cities to cease operation in favor of private sector businesses. But although some private companies have shown interest in running shuttle operations here in Jacksonville, none were found to be viable alternatives to the JTA run operation.
here in the city of Jacksonville, there's not really a company that has the equipment nor the manpower to really take over the shuttle system as we have it today. We're going to keep the same locations that we had last year. Convention Center downtown, Kings Avenue, downtown South Bank, JTB, which is out on Phillips and JTB, the beaches area, which is out off of Penman Road and Beach Boulevard, Marbon, which is out in the Mandarin area, and of course our partners out in Orange Park, which would take right across the street from the Orange Park Kennel Club.
You may recall 2 years ago, JTA's Stadium Shuttle service was voted as the best in the NFL by the readers of Sports Illustrated. For more information on buying Stadium Shuttle passes, check out the JTA website at jtafla.com. We've been telling you about it for months, and now the deal is done. With a 7-0 vote, the JTA Board of Directors approved the purchase of a new high-tech fare collection system. Starting in January, the new fare boxes will be placed in nearly 300 buses, trolleys, shuttles, and paratransit vehicles currently in the JTA fleet. The new system will use smart cards with microchip technology, speeding the passenger boarding process and allowing JTA to offer a multitude of travel options. JTA will also install 20 new pass vending machines throughout the city and is looking to substantially increase the number of pass partner locations from its current 50.
The current system gives us it's being a very manual cash, just a cash-based system, because there's really literally no information on individual riders and riders' patterns and things like that. At least with the smart card, we can get much more information on the type of riders, on entrance and exit from buses, the frequency of routes that are used, and much better reconciliation.
Now, Mr. Blaylock, we have been talking about this new fare box system for quite some time. It's still a few months away, but why is it so important?
It's about time, Joyce. I mean, think about it. The system is 20 years old, and times really have changed. People are really using the electronic way to pay their bills, and so we're just giving them more options, more flexibility in terms of how they pay their fares onto the system. So I think it's going to be great.
And talking about paying the bills, this bill is being paid with federal stimulus money.
That is tremendous. I mean, one of the reasons why it's taken us so long is to accumulate the kind of dollars necessary to do this type of project. So the president's stimulus bill that was introduced earlier last year, you could see, we're seeing the benefits of it today. So we're looking forward to getting that project off the ground, and you'll hear more about it.
And that smart card we've been telling you about, it now has a name thanks to the winner of JTA's Name the Fare Card contest. Congratulations go out to Jeremy Chasen, who sent in the winning entry. The new fare card will be called the Star Card. Secretary of Transportation Ray LaHood and officials from several Central Florida counties signed a joint funding agreement in July that allows construction to start on Phase 1 of the Sunrail. That's a new commuter rail line connecting downtown Orlando to Osceola, Seminole, and Volusia counties. Now, when it reaches full speed, Sunrail will provide those communities with some 17 train stations. The project is expected to create more than 10,000 jobs. Officials estimate 4,000 people will ride Sunrail every weekday. Trains will run about every 30 minutes during rush hour and every 2 hours during the rest of the day. Not to be outdone, North Florida continues to move forward with its plans to bring commuter rail to the First Coast. A capacity crowd of engineers and transportation planners packed the JTA boardroom last month to hear the specifications of a new JTA commuter rail plan. The selected company will work with JTA to gather specific data required to implement commuter rail in Jacksonville and throughout North Florida.
Our model needs to replicate the system we operate now. And that's part of why we did our onboard transit survey. We had to go out and survey about 7,000 people. So we're trying to determine where they're coming from, where they're going. Part of the process that the government uses to grade certain projects and determine which ones are going to be funded is the ridership forecast. So it's a real big part of our project here now.
Now, Mr. Blaylock, this sounds so exciting. Just think about it. In Central Florida, they're talking about 10,000 new jobs. Wow, what would that be like here in North Florida?
Well, keep in mind, Joyce, we got 3 opportunities in terms of rail for Northeast Florida. The commuter rail system that we're talking about now. Of course, the high-speed rail, because Jacksonville is the southern terminus point for the national high-speed rail corridor in America. So we'll have that opportunity, as well as trying to get Amtrak back downtown Jacksonville. So we're talking about doubling 10,000 jobs if we're able to bring all that to fruition.
That would be awesome, and it's in the works.
Right in Northeast Florida.
Absolutely. Well, JTA is considering making some service upgrades in November. Here's a look at the routes that would be impacted in some way. JTA will be holding several public meetings to receive your feedback on proposed changes. You can get all those details on the JTA website. Flyers will also be available on the buses, trolleys, and the shuttles. Noted real estate developer Ed Burr will be sticking around JTA for a few more years. Governor Rick Scott has reappointed Burr to the JTA Board of Directors. Burr is currently the board's vice chairman. His new term will run through May of 2015.
JTB is only about 13 miles long, but how far is it taking our economy, and what does that mean for you? I'm Terry Casey. That story coming up.
This is the 4th month in a row our sales have been flat. We've got to find a way to reach some new customers.
Hey, I have an idea.
We've tried everything. Newspaper ads, flyers, radio. Nothing seems to be working. I just don't know what we're going to do.
Hey, wait, I have an idea.
We have a great business. There's just got to be a way to reach more customers.
Listen, I have an idea. What about JTA?
The bus people? How can they help us reach more customers?
Think about it. Our ads on the side of buses driving all over the city. Or maybe one of their new fancy bus shelters. They even have their own television show called Making Moves. We could run ads on the show. We would reach thousands of people.
Now that's a great idea.
Let JTA help you connect with your customers. We have transit advertising options for nearly every budget. Call our corporate sales office at 630-3109 and let us put together a great package for you. Get creative. Advertise the JTA way.
Well, with the possible exception of I-95, J. Turner Butler Boulevard may be one of the most important highways in North Florida. It was built by JTA on a foundation of hopes, dreams, and a vision for an interstate type freeway over undeveloped land connecting Jacksonville with the beaches. Back then, locals called it the road to nowhere. Well, they don't call it that anymore. Making Moves' Terry Casey looks at how this 13-mile stretch of road changed our city's landscape forever.
J. Turner Butler Boulevard. The road begins at Phillips Highway, swings past I-95, then heads east. It comes to an end at A1A in Jacksonville Beach.
JTB has been in use for 39 years now, which makes it the new guy in town, at least compared to Beach Boulevard's 60 years and 100 years for Atlantic Boulevard. But JTB is a different animal, nearly all limited access. No traffic lights, no stop signs.
When it was first built, a lot of people did call it a road to nowhere. But some others saw it as a road to economic development. In either case, it looked a lot different then than it does now.
I used to drive Butler Boulevard.